Yeah, I think we need to move on. It is already, this is 4:15 from my time, so we have to move on. What I want us to discuss today is just a form of introduction of all we need to know about Swedish Institute scholarship. So from the slide, which I hope you all can see on your various screens, you will see securing admission in Sweden and winning the Swedish Institute scholarship, simplified, presented by Mba Ikenna. So we have various aspects which we are going to discuss, as I have already given you on the timetable. So today we shall be discussing, excuse me, we shall be doing the introduction. Can you all see my screen? Sylvester, Yinka,
Yes,
can you
I
see
can
my
see it.
screen? Hello, can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay, so we move on. So just like I said earlier on, today all we have is a very short meeting where we introduce what SI scholarship is all about. And we also have a brief overview of Sweden. We also talk about the admission process proper. So everything today will be basically introduction. Then from tomorrow, we shall go into how to apply for admission in Sweden. I believe most of us on this platform have already known them, but I decided to start it this way because of the new members, so as to carry everybody along. So from our timetable, we see how we progress from time to time until we finalize all the training. And I hope to introduce another SI scholarship holder from Zambia by next week, who will be joining me in the course of this training, so that both of us will share our experiences, so as to enable you guys to know the nitty-gritty of SI scholarships, so as to help you also win this scholarship. So we have a brief overview of Sweden. So we see Sweden, just as most of us already know, is a Scandinavian country located in Northern Europe. So Sweden is bordered by Norway and Finland. So by the south, it is bordered by the ocean. After that ocean, you get to Denmark. So that is it. And it has a population slightly less than 10 million citizens, around 9.5 something million. Sweden also, as we all know, is a Schengen country. So Schengen is just a kind of agreement reached by some European countries to abolish their internal borders. What this means is that any country that is a member of this Schengen country, you can move from one country to the other without basically applying for visa. So Sweden, as one of the Schengen countries, that means having a Swedish permit can grant you access to many other Schengen countries. So as we have 26 Schengen countries, Sweden being one of them, that means you have access to about 25 other countries, visa-free, once you have a Swedish permit. So from here, we move on. So the question that will come to mind is why study in Sweden? Because I believe there are other study destinations other than Sweden. We have Canada, we have USA, we have UK, we have Germany, we have Norway, we have Finland, and all other good countries. We have Russia. So why study in Sweden? So that's the first question that will come to mind. So you see, there are many reasons, quite a lot of reasons why people tend to study in Sweden. Many people have different reasons. My reasons may be different from another person's reason and all that. But the major reason, which there are some reasons which I highlighted here and other reasons which I did not. So, but I will talk maybe generally, including others that are not highlighted here. One of the major reasons is that when you compare Sweden to UK, Canada, and US, you discover that generally tuition fees in Sweden is cheaper than as obtainable in UK and US. So if you have done your research, you will find out that maybe a one-year master's degree in UK will cost you not less than 15 to 20 million naira if you are a Nigerian, and maybe the equivalent in other people's currency, in other countries' currency. So, but in Sweden, you can actually study for less. This is one of the major criteria people consider when studying in Sweden. But apart from this course, I have other reasons to give you why people study in Sweden. So one, high quality unconventional educational system. So here in Sweden, the quality of their education is really high, with some of the universities here making it to top 100 in the world. University like Lund University and some other KTH and some other universities, you see Lund made it to one of the top 100 in the world. And then when you check from 1 to 500, you will see several universities in Sweden here making it to in the top 500. That is to show you that they actually have a high quality of education. And what made them stand out is their unconventional education system. So when we say unconventional, we know every country has its own system of education. Like in Nigeria, where I came from, we have our own system of education. Here in Sweden, they don't basically based on grades. Maybe like in Nigeria, we have a GP system whereby you struggle to have first class 2-1 and all that. In Sweden here, it is not so. So here, they lay more emphasis on group work. So whereby students will have to come together to try to figure out some things. So here, what they actually want from you is your ability to be creative. So that is Sweden for you. So you see from what I have here, I said Swedish universities have an open climate with a strong focus on group work, just I have already explained earlier before now. The Swedish education system focuses more on your academic interests than just pushing you to achieve grades. So all of us that have passed through that system knows how it is. So instead of striving to be your best, you are actually striving to make grades. And to me, that is not actually the purpose of education. The true purpose of education is for you to understand the subject which you are studying. And I believe here in Sweden, they have their ways of making this possible. So number 2, work opportunities. That's our second question. Like, if we have actually made our research, we will realize that many countries, for example, Mexico, if you are a student in Mexico, you are basically not allowed to work. China is the same thing. If you are studying in China, you are restricted on what you can do. So they expect you to focus mainly on your education. But here in Sweden, it is not so. So you as an international student, you can work while studying. And sometimes maybe you can do your research and see that you can be allowed to work up to 40 hours per week while studying here in Sweden. But in principle, there is actually no limit to the number of hours you can work. The most important thing here is that you must be able to pass at least 75% of your courses. That is the most important thing. You need to do this for you to be able to renew your permit upon expiration. So if you don't pass up to 75% of your studies, that is 22.5 credits per semester, then that means you cannot be allowed to renew your permit upon expiration. So that means if you must work, you have to find a balance between study and work. So don't work more than you study. So you have to balance everything. So that is it. So we move on. The third reason why people tend to study in Sweden is that you have high quality of life. So Sweden here, they place a high emphasis on cleanliness and sustainability. That is true. I am here and I can attest to that. So they don't joke with the environment. You are not allowed to litter the environment. You are expected to dispose your refuse properly, accordingly. So, and this actually helps to make the environment clean and sustainable. So you see, you enjoy fresh air, a well-preserved landscape, and all you can think of while studying. I think this is one of the most important things, because a dirty environment will actually make one sick. And I believe no one wants to get sick only because he wants to study in a foreign land. So this is one of the reasons why people tend to study in Sweden. So the next reason is gender equality. So we know when you check maybe some countries, especially the developing countries, you discover that there is actually a wide gap between gender equality. So whereby the men see themselves as being superior to the women, but in Sweden here, it is not so. Everybody are equal, whether you are a lady or you are a man. So everybody is equal and no restriction, no segregation. That is Sweden for you. In Sweden here, you are also allowed to come with your family, but this is only if you have the resources to take care of them. This is because even if you succeed in getting the scholarship is only for you alone and not for you and your family. So if you are coming with your family, you have to show additional funding for your family, showing that, yes, when I bring them here, I can actually take care of them. So that is it. Number 6, unlike some countries, you can stay back in Sweden after your graduation to look for work or start a business, provided you have enough funds to cater for yourself. So unlike Chevening scholarship, let us assume that you get a scholarship to UK through Chevening. So if you had taken time to go through the requirements, you will see that one of the requirements is that after your study, you are expected to go back to your country and spend a minimum of 2 years before you are allowed to come back to UK. But in Sweden here, it is not so. You can actually stay back after your studies to either look for work or to start your own business. They even have a separate permit for this. So once you graduate, upon your graduation, you apply for this permit that will enable you to stay longer to either look for work or start your own business. That is the beauty of Sweden for you. There are many countries you can't get this from. So the number 7 points, as a Schengen country, your Swedish residence permit grants you entry into 25 other member countries. I've already said this earlier on, so you know what that means. So if you are a travel gimmick, you can tour many countries without the headache of having to apply for visas and waiting for the approvals and all that. So etc. There are many of them. So, but I just selected these few based on the importance. So the next thing which we are going to look at maybe deeply from tomorrow is applying for admissions into Swedish universities. So, of course, I believe most of us on this platform have already mastered this particular session, but I added it purposely for the new members and for other viewers that may not have the awareness or the knowledge of how to do this. So university admissions into Swedish universities are handled by a body called University Admissions, as most of us would have already known. Their official website is www.universityadmissions.se. As we can see on the screen here, this is their official website. So in Nigeria, we can say that this university admissions is analogous to JAMB in Nigeria. So in Nigeria, we have JAMB that is responsible for admission. So here in Sweden, the body responsible for this is called University Admissions. Their website is universityadmissions.se. They handle whichever application process for admission, basically for all the schools, including bachelor's, master's. Good. So I want to tell you that applying on university admissions is very, very easy. You don't require any agent to do it for you. You can actually do it yourself. So, but if you don't trust yourself that you can do it, you can seek the services of cyber cafe operators near you. So that is just that. But I believe and trust that you can actually do it yourself. So note, you must pay an application fee of 900 SEK for your application to be considered. Many people already know this. For you to apply for maybe JAMB in Nigeria, you have to pay application fee. The same thing is applicable here in many other countries like Canada. If for you to apply for admission to Canadian universities, you also pay application fee. So here, the application fee is 900 SEK. So in Naira, it is equivalent to around about 38 to 39,000 Naira. So you can use this currency converter, www.se.com, to convert it to your own local currency to know the equivalent of this 900 SEK in your own local currency. So the application period usually starts from 16 October every year and ends on 15th January the following year. So what this means is that today's date is 29th. That means the application process for 2021-2022 session has already started about 13 days ago. So that means you are now free to apply for your admission from now on, from 16th till 15th of January. So that's what this means. Application is actually on currently as we speak. Okay, we move over to applying for scholarships. Just like I have already said before, we have many scholarship opportunities that can allow you to study in Sweden here, just like in any other country. So if you want to study in UK, for example, there are many scholarships other than the Chevening scholarships. So here also, there are many scholarships other than the famous SI scholarship. So I want us to talk on some of them. So the number one on our list here is university scholarships. Every university in Sweden here has their own internal scholarship. For example, my school, I am studying in Dalarna University in Sweden here. Dalarna University has their own internal scholarship. If you are choosing Lund also has their own internal scholarship. If you are choosing Chalmers, they also have their own internal scholarship, and so on and so forth. So, but the major challenge here is that the university scholarships are not usually fully funded, and they are usually towards your tuition fee reduction. Some can get a reduction for up to 50%. So that means if your tuition fee is, for example, 10,000 SEK, and you happen to get a 50% discount, that is a 50% scholarship, then you are required to pay the remaining 50%, which will now be 5,000 SEK instead of 10,000 SEK. And then this simply means you also have to cater for other expenses like your accommodation, feeding, and basic expenses and other things. So that is it for the university scholarships. Although it is also advised, besides applying for SI scholarships, you are also advised to apply for the university scholarships. But the challenge here is that you are only required to apply for the school scholarship that you chose as your first choice. So if you chose Lund as your first choice, you are only allowed to apply for Lund scholarship. You can't apply for other people's scholarship. That means that if you fail to gain admission into Lund, then the university scholarships is over for you. Your last hope will only be the SI scholarship or maybe any other scholarship if you applied for them. So the next scholarship is a global engineering program. So just as the name implies, you can see that this is just for engineering programs. So that means if you are to study any course in engineering field, you are free to apply for global engineering program scholarship. They also offer fully funded scholarship with funding up to $50,000, just like SI scholarship. However, this is extremely competitive. You can see how I emphasized it here, extra highly competitive. This is because every year they give maximum of about 3 scholarships. Like 2020, they gave only about 3 people scholarships across the whole world. You know what that means? That is actually highly competitive, but you are still expected to try your luck. So there is no harm in trial. Then we have the famous Swedish Institute scholarship, which all of us are already aware of and which we clamor for. So, what is Swedish Institute scholarship? Swedish Institute scholarship is simply a Swedish government-funded scholarship managed by the Swedish agency called Swedish Institute. Remember, I told us that the admission is handled by university admissions. Then this SI scholarship is handled by Swedish Institute. These two bodies are distinct, they are separate bodies. So the university admissions is different from Swedish Institute. So if you have any question pertaining to admissions, you have to relate it to university admissions. If you have any question pertaining to Swedish Institute scholarship, you have to direct it to Swedish Institute. So that is it. This SI scholarship is a fully funded scholarship that caters for your complete tuition fees. They pay your complete tuition fees, they pay you travel allowance, but they don't pay you while you are still in your country. They pay you when you might have already come up to Sweden here. So, and it is about 15,000 SEK in allowance. And also, every month, they pay you a monthly stipend for your accommodation, feeding, and other expenses. And I must tell you, the monthly stipend is enough to cater for your accommodation, feeding, your basic expenses, and at the end, you will still have some savings. I am telling you this out of experience. It is more than enough to take care of you and also have some for savings. So this scholarships normally starts by second week of February every year and lasts for only 10 days. That means you need to be ready before the portal opens for that because you have no much time to do so. So the scholarship is available for those applying for autumn semester only. Autumn semester refers to studies commencing in August. So if you apply for spring admission, the scholarship is not for you. It is only for autumn semester. So, and the website for applying for this scholarship is www.si.se. For purpose of clarity, this will be our focus for this coaching. So we shall be talking about Swedish Institute scholarship and not any other scholarship. So that is it for now. So you can ask your questions if you have any. Thanks for listening. Any questions so far?
Ike, thank you for this wonderful presentation.
You're
I really
welcome.
appreciate it. I think it will really go a long way for people that really are new to this whole thing. So, my question is about applying for admission.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. So, I think what I wanted to ask is that is it a prerequisite to apply for admission in relating to Swedish scholarship? You know, there are eligibility courses to the Swedish Institute normally put into consideration.
Yeah,
So what I
that's
want to
correct.
ask is that uh, is there any particular courses that is being focused for a country a particular country, maybe like engineering courses, maybe sustainable energy system or something, or maybe I don't know. I just want to
Okay,
know so
as
that
in limiting a particular choice of course to a particular country.
exactly,
Okay, no,
exactly.
they don't do that. So what they do is they publish a certain list of eligible courses. So anybody can apply for any of such courses regardless of your country, provided you can gain admission into those courses. And gaining admission into a particular course depends on some requirements, general and specific. So you must be very careful to see that you meet up the general requirement and the specific requirement for your course of choice. So that is it. So they don't limit it to any particular country. Maybe saying public health, only people from Ghana or only people from Nigeria. No, they don't do that.
Okay, okay, thank you.
So, and from experience, I noticed that there is usually only a little change in the courses they bring out every year. So, like 2020, that is my set. If you check the list of eligible courses and compare it with that of 2019, 2018, 2017, you will notice that the difference is not much. The courses are almost the same, but maybe in a particular year, they will drop a certain course and introduce a new one. But basically, the courses doesn't change much. Any other question? Any other question? Okay, so in the absence of any further question, we call it a day here. Thanks for your time and remain blessed. We meet again tomorrow.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome.